konnichiwa, hello. Welcome to the Nupur Tewari show. And we'll be talking only business because this is Let's Talk Business. We'll be talking only business but nothing. And we have our experts with us who will be enlightening us with their all the knowledge. So today's expert we have with us Mr. Sanjeev Gupta, and he is a senior managing executive officer of Shinsei Bank and an advisor to President and CEO in Japan. So with big applause, let's welcome Mr. Sanjeev Gupta. Namaste, konnichiwa. Welcome to the Nupur Tewari show. Let's talk business. So we are so glad, and this is kind of my pleasure to have you, Mr. Gupta. So
no, it is my pleasure to be on your new show, and my sincere greetings to all your viewers for this wonderful show that you have created. So it's nice to have. It's nice to be talking to you as well. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I'm sure that all the people who are into business, even those who are really going to start their new business, they are going to be very much enlightened after listening to you. So the first question I'll have that, since you have been working with Japanese firm from last 20 years and you have been living here from last 20 years. So what is the big difference working in Japan and working with and in Japan and with and in the different part of world?
Okay, several points. First of all, I have been working in Japan for 36 years. Last 20 years of my 36 years have been with the Japanese bank, but prior to that, I was with Citibank, and prior to that, I was with PwC. So I have changed a few careers in the span of last 36 years, and with regards to enlightening the viewers, many of your viewers may already know what I'm going to say, but nevertheless, since you asked the question, let me just share my views on the way of doing business in Japan and how things work. That's the question, right? That's the
Yes,
question.
that's the question.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. I guess everybody says Japan is different in terms of doing business. Yes, indeed, it is different in the sense that Japanese doing business with Japan or Japanese companies uh, is largely dependent upon trust that is built over a long period of time. So, whereas many other countries or many other cultures focus more on profitability, more on quick results, but Japanese companies uh, tend to focus more on long-term relationship and trust. As a result, what happens is that initially when a business is starting or commencing services or work here, they get frustrated because things don't move at the pace that they are accustomed to. Because in other cultures, people, not in any negative sense, but they are more driven from the profit aspirations. They're more driven from growing the business. Don't get me wrong, Japanese also want to grow the business, want to grow the profit, but their timeline, their approach is different and takes longer than many other countries. That I see. Yeah.
So I think the patience is most important thing when you are dealing with Japanese.
Patience and trust and building their trust. Yes, that is correct.
So does it take really long time? Because I think especially today's youth, I think anywhere in the world, the problem we are facing that they have very less patience. So do you think that we should just our youth should change their perspective, or the Japan should change a bit when it comes to
I think
business
that's a
or
very,
working style?
very, very good question. Yes, yeah. I think youth should not change. If I just solely talk from the point of view of a young person aspiring to be successful in Japan in the business world, then they need to be bit patient but that doesn't mean they need to change their style. It's just that they need to get little accustomed to their way of doing business, not getting frustrated about doing business. But once they make inroads in Japan, working with Japanese companies and build trust, then they can be quite successful in this country because the markets are still growing. Yeah.
So I think from last 20 years, you were doing what I heard that you are mostly dealing with North American country or South American countries, not with India much, right?
Yeah, so my experience, I have never, yes, yeah, so I don't have any direct working or liaising with India. My work has all been either working in Japan with Japanese companies, or I do work with a lot of investors in North America and Europe. But I have zero to basically zero exposure to India in terms of business. Yeah.
Business, yes. So like especially we're, especially India is today, Indian economy is booming, we are developing more and more. So and after Modi government, definitely there are a lot of startups. It's a people are, especially today's youth, they want to have their own thing. So can they, I can they put their eye on Japan, like Japanese funding? What do you think? Your experience of 36 years.
I mean, so let me understand your question. You're saying, and when you say funding, you mean debt funding, not equity funding, meaning
Uh,
borrow money, not
Borrow
Japanese.
money.
Yeah.
Yes, just investment maybe. They're looking for the funding and the investment. They're looking
Okay.
for investors who
Okay.
can
So
invest in their
basically, when you say
startups.
funding, meaning uh, getting Japanese investors to invest in their startup, is I think that's what
Exactly.
the question
Yes.
is. Yeah. Yeah, I think Japanese are finally realizing that they need to branch out and move overseas. So if there is a very good viable plan, a business prospect, yes, Japanese companies would be keen. But again, it does take longer for Japanese companies to be convinced in terms of doing or business or investing in a startup where there is no track record as yet. It's just a startup, and they have a concept, they have an idea, they have started, but the break even or the result or the growth is going to come few years hence. So Japanese tend to be reluctant, especially when it comes to India. However, having said that, things are changing, but the what I would say is they are not changing as fast as they should, but they're changing. So
Okay,
it
that's
is, yeah, it is a challenge to gain Japanese funding or get Japanese funding for Indian startups at present. Yeah.
so that's a very good news, especially from an expert like you.
No,
Definitely,
I'm
that's
not
it.
an expert. I'm
Of
just
course, you
sharing
are
with
an
you
expert.
whatever
You have
little I know.
36
Yes.
years.
Yeah. Yeah.
36 years
Mm.
experience. Of course, you are an expert.
Yeah.
So, this is, and what would be your suggestion? Those who are really looking for Japanese investment, what would be your suggestion to today's youth who are in their 20s and they are looking for um, Japanese investment, especially? And for any points, any suggestion, any advice from you?
Well, I think, I mean, as long as they work with large consulting firms or large companies, because I think in order to gain access to the Japanese core investors, they need to go through some conduit, some middlemen, and the trading companies or the consulting firm who can liaise with the prospective big companies here would be very helpful for them to gain funding. Um, so I think, as I said earlier, it is changing. Japanese do want to invest in high tech. They want to invest in consumer kinds of businesses. In India already there have been a lot of investments in the retail sector. So I think that is going to grow. And in order for the Indian companies to come, they can hold seminars here. They can work with consulting companies who can guide them or liaise or arrange for them seminars working with the prospective Japanese corporations who are keen to invest money globally in various startups.
And since you are working with Japanese from last 36 years, so yes, 36 years. So we often find Japanese also getting frustrated because of Indian system.
Mm.
They, when they want to invest or when they want to sell their product, they want to do something new in India. Often I hear that mujukasi desu.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
it is, it's very, so what would be like, after 36 years of experience, a few advices, suggestions for those who are really creating market for Japanese and they're expecting Japanese to come here and sell their product, they have their businesses in India. What would be your suggestions and advices for them?
For the Japanese or for the
For the
Indian?
Indian, I would like to say the Indian, especially back home, because Japanese, when they will find things are easier, they will definitely go
But
Japanese.
by the time it's too late because the market has already saturated. That has been the issue. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
how actually India should prepare? Should be prepared.
Uh,
Should prepare the market so Japanese can be more attracted to Indian market.
Yeah, I think that's a tough question because I think Japanese tend to take their own time. They want to have everything black and white or to some extent, which is not often the case when it's a startup. As a result, things don't move, as rapidly as the Indian counterpart would want it to be. And the bureaucracy within the Japanese company in terms of approval and all of that does take long time. And there are a lot of bottlenecks, which then the patience on the India side runs out because of the held up in Japan in terms of approval and all of that. And Japanese counterpart or potential investors feeling comfortable and approving the investment. So I think there is still a gap. The gap is bridging. It's becoming smaller, but nevertheless there is a gap. In
There's
terms of
still a gap,
yeah, yeah.
which you have to really make the breeze broader and brighter.
Mm. So there are very few soft bank kind of aggressive firms who are quick in decision making, but by and large it's tough to gain Japanese funding for Indian startups at present.
I hope that we get more SoftBank and India also can prepare, our market, that Japanese also will get more attracted and they can trust also that yes, India, Indo Mujika Sikunai, we can just go and
Yeah.
invest kind of. We hope
But I
that
think India is doing all the right thing. There are lots of startups coming up, and the atmosphere is just right. It is on the Japanese side that they are moving slower than they should. They need
a
to
bit
expedite it.
reluctant
Yeah, a bit
still.
reluctant. Yes, yeah.
Mhm.
So it's the problem on part lies on the Japanese side, not on the India side. Yeah,
Okay, that's a very
yeah,
good news. Actually,
yeah,
that's a very good thing, good
yeah.
point you have already you said. So the last question I'd like to ask you: 36 years of experience with Japanese. How was it?
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, I have worked with Japanese as well as I have worked with non-Japanese all throughout my career. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
generally what has happened is my subordinate and peers have been Japanese, but my superiors have been, basically Western. So
Oh,
I
okay.
can, yeah. So basically, I can work with both cultures because I did study in America for 4 years. So I have been working with foreigners all throughout my life. So I know their mindset, how they want things to be done. And being here for 36 years helps me understand how to work closely with the Japanese as well. So I am sort of the conduit between the Japanese and the Western to get things done. That has been working well for me. Yeah.
That's great. That's great, really, because the almost Western culture and Japanese culture, and definitely you are from India. You know the Indian culture as well, the working style. So it's a very multinational thing already you are dealing with.
No, I try my best, but yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm sure that the viewers are going to be very much enlightened after listening to you, and they will be very determined that how to take the first step when they're aiming for Japanese fund. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And my best wishes to your show and your channel. And I hope you do very well, with your channel. And all the best to you for 2021 as well. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you and arigatou gozaimashita.
Arigatou
Namaste.
gozaimasu. Hi, thank you. Namaste.
So that was our episode number 3 with Mr. Sanjeev Gupta. And here at this platform, we'll be promoting your business, we'll be telling your startup stories, and we'll get enlightened by our experts. So do write to us if you need to promote your business in Japan or in India. We are here to give you platform. We are here to help you as well. So this is the platform Only Talking Business. So everyone, let's talk business and have a wonderful Friday evening. So everyone, Subratri, good night, o yasuminasai, namaste. Stay tuned.